Black Clover chapter 270 review. Let's get straight into it. If you guys like Black Clover content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. Now, Black Clover chapter 270 starts off with Liebe actually losing to Asta. Now, this is what I predicted based on the final panel of chapter 269. It was pretty obvious that Asta was actually going to win. Now, I believe this is due to the fact that Asta has worked really hard. Now, Liebe actually has anti-magic power, but as Nacht stated, it's kind of irrelevant against a guy who doesn't necessarily have any mana. So since Asta doesn't have mana, it's like, what can Liebe's power really erase? It's really powerful against people with mana because it's kind of the counterpart to that. Now, with that being said, I don't agree with the people who are saying that Liebe is weak. I just believe that this was it goes up to matchups. You know, Liebe can beat a lot of other people, but Asta doesn't have that magic, you know. Now, moving on, since Liebe lost, he had to kind of get binded by this ritual, and there was these chains that go around Liebe's neck, and he was kind of in a subservient position. Asta had every opportunity to make Liebe his servant, but we know Asta, and he wouldn't really do things like that. Nacht pretty much wanted him to go ahead and make the devil subservient to him, and the reason Asta didn't want to do that is because Asta didn't even know that this was what the contract was going to be about. Nacht really didn't imply anything. Nacht really just threw Asta in this, and we see Asta thinking for himself, you know. Now, this might be a knuckleheaded decision according to Nacht, but Nacht just kind of goes with the flow a little bit. At some points, Nacht was kind of worried. He was like, okay, let's be serious. You got to make the devil subservient to you. You got to make the devil your servant. And Asta was not really having that. We know Asta thinks everyone is equal. And I think that's really a good part of the story, narrative, whatever you want to call it. It's really a good part of the narrative. Now, since I'm speaking about narrative right now, I think the reason that the Liebe versus Asta fight was so good is because it also pushes the narrative. It cancels out anyone who would think that Asta is only powerful because of anti-magic, because he defeated anti-magic without any anti-magic. So Asta, we've seen him fight without the use of anti-magic, so we know he's just powerful on his own. So people need to stop discrediting him by saying, oh, he has an OP power. No, man, he's just really strong. He doesn't even need, we've seen him defeat people without it in the past, you know. And basically, back to the chapter, Nacht says that you can make this guy serve you and he has no right to refuse. So this goes on to kind of solidify what we've been believing about Nacht, and his devils are his servants. So if Nacht's telling Asta this obviously must mean that Nacht has a contract with his devils that they cannot disobey him. They basically have to do what he says. Like, they're completely and utterly under the control of Nacht. And that's just, I mean, that's pretty cool because it's different. We have a lot of different, we're starting to get a lot of devils introduced, and their powers and their contracts and things are all different, so they stand out. There's not really devils who come in and are the exact same as others. For example, we see these devils have like a chibi form. I've seen a lot of people wanting a Liebe chibi form. I also want that. That would be pretty cool, but we might not get it just because these devils are different and their contracts are different and all this kind of stuff. I really like how their contracts are different. That's the point I'm trying to get at. Basically, instead of like having these contracts and stuff, Asta's pretty much like, nah, let's just be friends. And that's what their contract is. They're just friends. That's their contract. They're friends. So basically the contract was accepted, and Nacht is pretty much like, man, that was so stupid, but it is what it is. Even Nacht's devil said that was stupid. I feel like Asta could have just made the devil just listen to him and just take his power, but now they want to be equals. it makes sense. It makes sense, and I'm gonna tell you why it makes sense. Because of the narrative of the story. The narrative is Asta wants to become the Wizard King to make everyone equal. So it makes sense with the narrative. Doesn't necessarily make sense from a power standpoint, because he could have had his power to himself. But Asta is just not like that type of person. It would be morally wrong for Asta to do that and then go out and say that everyone is equal. It wouldn't make sense in that regard. So I guess it all evens out. It kind of everything cancels out. And in this chapter, we also get the fact that Asta is Lycida's child. It is confirmed. Now it's confirmed, because people kept telling me it's confirmed because she dropped off the basket. But like, how is it confirmed if you didn't see who was in the basket? And if it was definitely confirmed, they wouldn't have to confirm it again. It was teased. So let's just say like it was teased. All right. So basically, this is confirmation, because Asta basically asks, he's like, what's your name? And it sends Liebe into another flashback. Liebe really loved Lycida. Like, you can definitely tell that Liebe really loved Lycida, because he is having all these flashbacks and she puts a smile on Liebe's face, and they're brothers. People are saying they're not brothers. Lycida, if Lycida is Asta's mother and Lycida adopted Liebe, that makes Asta and Liebe brothers. So this is a really cool combination. This is like unique to me as far as shonen, like a devil brother and a human brother. That's unique, man, because people like to say Black Clover is copying. Black Clover ain't copying nothing. Like, it does borrow, but it doesn't. It's like whenever your friend like be like, can I copy your homework? But just don't copy. And they be like, yeah, but just don't copy it word for word. They changed it, so it's not the same. It just, y'all get what I'm saying. Basically, Asta gets an arm. He has a right arm now, and because you know the AMD had it at first, but now Asta has it. It still maintained the attributes that it had before it got lost. So that's interesting. That is very interesting. Basically, after all of that stuff goes down, Nacht is basically saying like, all right, we got to get on to business. And Nacht Devil seems like it combines with him or gives him his power. He's going to explain this. No way they're not going to explain this form, because this is kind of giving me Asta new form vibes, because Nacht says like this is where the training begins, and we're at the end of the chapter here. So this is where Nacht gets this incredible new form. It really looks cool. This form fire. Tabata been drawing fire forms, and these devil forms is just cool. And I think that Nacht has multiple forms. We actually seen him whenever he was first introduced. His devil form was different. Or I don't even know if y'all would call that a form. Would y'all call it like a black form? Whatever y'all want to call it, until Tabata gives it an official name. Fans are going to come up with like a fan version of whatever they want to call it. But this one right here that he's using looks really, really cool. Like, I really, really like the design a lot. He kind of looks like he's really ready to shred some stuff up. He has kind of a similar arm to Asta, actually. So he's going to be able to show Asta some really cool stuff. And he's transforming into this form because he's going to train Asta, and since he's training Asta in this form, it leads me to believe that Asta is going to get a new form, kind of like a fusion between Asta and Liebe, especially since they're working together. And we're going to see Liebe a lot more now because they're friends now. At first they were not friends. Asta and Liebe are now friends, so that means we're going to see Liebe a lot. I want to see Liebe talk to Noelle. I want to see Liebe talk to Yami. Like, this is going to be cool. Basically, this chapter was really good as always. This form looks amazing on Nacht, and since he's about to fight against Asta and Liebe, they're gonna have to do something. They're gonna have to come up with some type of new power, especially if they're gonna save Captain Yami. So a new form would be clean for Asta and Liebe, like a fusion or something, or just anything. Like, they're gonna learn a thing or two from Nacht, because Nacht clearly knows how to use his devil power without hesitation. But anyways, that's where the chapter ends, so that's where I'm gonna end off the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please leave me a thumbs up, comment, and subscribe. As always, it's been your boy NeohXO, and I'm out.